Hi, this is Jennie Walker and welcome to JennieGirl's Closet. Today I want to talk to you about my experience with the Poshmark Authentication program. This program is meant to ensure that items that are priced $500 or more are examined by Poshmark personally and then sent on to the buyers so that there's an assurance that people have when they buy something that it's authentic, that it's real, that their team has done their job to make sure the items are, as they've been set out and described. Well, I recently sold 2 items through the authentication program, and both of them had cases drawn against them for different reasons by different people. And I want to tell you about the outcome because it's really, really interesting for me. The first one was, now again, I am part of this program as a seller, not a buyer. So I sold this absolutely gorgeous down-filled vintage puffer coat, like cocoon coat, by Donna Karan, which is all velvet on one side and it's reversible into like a nylon on the other. The perfect New York winter coat. And it sold for $995, full price, and was sent along to the authentication program. It took a very long time to be processed because of the Christmas holidays. But nonetheless, eventually it was processed, and I got a notice from Poshmark, and they said, "Hi, we have a problem with your item. Your size is wrong. You've listed as a large, but when we look inside, basically the pocket, there's a little tab that says small, and so we cannot send this along to the buyer. We've got to inform them." So I immediately thought, great, this thing's coming back because it is a large in terms of its size. It's very, very, very oversized. A lot of these cocoon coats are, and certainly puffer coats are generally very, very big. And so, and my own personal size is large, extra large, or XXL. It just depends. And it fits me. So when I took the photos and I said that the coat was a large, I missed this little size tag that said small that was hidden up under another tag inside the pocket. So anyway, I did not include measurements, and which they highly encourage you to do. It's a best practice for Poshmark is to include measurements. But for some reason, I guess I was in a hurry. I'm not sure why, but I, put it up there, basically said it was a large puffer coat, email me for measurements, and called it a day. So as soon as I realized that they had found that small inside and I listed as a large and didn't have measurements, and I just knew, oh my gosh, $995 sale down the tube. So I thought to myself, well, all I have to do is measure the coat, because then the person who bought it will know it is truly a large or even possibly an extra large. So when they emailed me, it sounded as if they had already sent the email to the buyer. So they weren't giving me an opportunity to respond. They weren't emailing me first to get some sort of reaction. They were only informing me of what they had done. So my gut says they've told this woman it's a small. She's not going to want it, but if they send her the measurements, I'm sure that she will. I got to make sure they send her the measurements. So I emailed them and I said, it's really important. For this, it's oversized, the measurements, please make sure that you do that. But they didn't really respond to that, but they did respond and say that they were going to cancel the sale because the woman said she didn't want it. And I was like, okay, please do not send this coat back to me until you send her the measurements. But at this point, they've already canceled the sale. It's a non-issue. But nonetheless, I said, please just tell me, did you or did you not provide the measurements to the buyer? Please let me know what you said. So they came back and said, no, we did not provide measurements. We told them it was a size small in the pocket or in the coat, but it was oversized. And I thought to myself, it's $1,000 sale. And Poshmark, whose very own best practice is to put measurements on your item, did not take 5 minutes to measure my coat. And that is just extraordinary to me, because they lose, and I lose. They lost $200. I lost $800 because whoever on the authentication team got my item did not take 5 minutes to measure the coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm here on this podcast and I have the box where they sent it back to me, and I'm going to actually open it up while I'm talking to you, and I'm going to measure this coat so that we together know what the size is and what if it truly is a small or a large as indicated. Now, I have no problem with the fact that it's a small and I listed it as a large. No, that I have no problem with. The problem that I have is that the authentication team did not measure my coat. And to me, if you want to save a sale, you're going to take the time to measure the coat. Because without that, there's no frame of reference. The person who bought the coat has absolutely no idea what size it is. That is logic. So here I am. I'm opening up my coat right now out of the box. And we're going to measure it together because I think this is an extraordinary missed opportunity. This is a huge disappointment. I am still in a state of shock. But these people did not do more to try to save the sale. It's $995. So, together we're going to measure the coat. So this would be much better for a video, but I haven't started my video series yet. So I'm just going to lay this out in front of me. I've got my tape measure, and I am going to do the pit-to-pit, the infamous pit-to-pit measurement on these things, which basically tells you everything. So I'm going to do my pit-to-pit. Oh my gosh, this thing's enormous. Okay. So I'm doing my pit-to-pit very loosely. And the first measurement of pit-to-pit across is, roughly 28 inches. Now, if you double that, you got 56 inches. Now, you tell me, anyone listening who's in the fashion industry knows that 56 inches around is like an XL or a double XL. Certainly an L, a large. And so, it's extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary. One measurement that took me about 30 seconds to do. 30 seconds would have saved a $1,000 sale. And for that, I just, I have no words. I have no words other than whoever was taking care of the situation had a brain freeze, lost their mind temporarily, and did not think it through about what they could possibly do to save the sale. And yes, it has small in the pocket. Absolutely. I did sell it as a large. Absolutely. Is the large and the small incorrect? Yes, there's a mismatch there. But they didn't take 30 seconds to measure the pit to pit, which would have given them the chest measurement to know that this is absolutely a large coat. So that I have a real problem with. So right on the heels of this one, I sold a $900 pair of Chanel boots. Now this was great. So I sold this $900 pair of absolutely gorgeous black patent leather. They look like Louis XIV kind of boots, probably from the early 90s. They'd probably been worn once in the box, but the patent leather was a little sticky on the outside. It's starting to break down, but it hasn't, and it probably won't. But it's just starting to get a little something on them with it. So anyway, so I put that in the listing that the patent leather felt a little sticky in places, and that I thought it was starting to break down, but nonetheless, totally amazing shoes, right? $895 for these shoes. So then I get the notice, a case has been opened up for the shoes. Now, I had passed authentication, and this is really interesting. This high-ticket item got through authentication. So they deemed it authentic. They deemed it the correct size, and they deemed it as to matching the photos, because apparently authentication isn't just about is it authentic brand? We know that from my experience with this coat, because authentication is also going to tell you if the description is correct. So, I mean, that's an interesting distinction, because when I think authentication, I'm thinking, is it a fake Louis Vuitton or a real one? I don't think, is it the right size, right? I'm not thinking size, but that's part of what they're trying to do there. So the woman who gets it opens up a case. I'm like, oh, seriously? Another $1,000, I'm like, but it went through the authentication program. So this time I'm thinking, okay, the people deemed it as equal to the photos and the description this time. And in this time, I didn't actually look into my Poshmark notes to see what they were saying was wrong with it. Now, I didn't even look, and I don't even know if it's there now. I haven't looked. But because it had been through the authentication program, I was thinking there wasn't anything going to be in there. So anyway, I didn't do anything. I didn't respond. I didn't read to see what they said was off. I didn't do anything. I just said to myself, well, let's see what happens. They canceled $1,000 sale. If they cancel another one, what can I do about it? Nothing I can do about it, but, take it back and, relist it. So I kind of like, well, because it went through the authentication program, I thought, well, maybe this is going to be more in my favor this time, because they did examine the shoe. And so I got the notice the other day that the case was denied for the buyer and that I would get my money released. So my money was released, and like within 4 seconds, I had transferred it out of my Poshmark account and into my checking account really quick, just in case anybody changed their mind. So I did that. And so this was really interesting to me, because in one case, I lost the battle, and they, in my opinion, did not do what they were supposed to do. They did not send the measurements of the garment to the buyer, and that is an absolutely profound error on their part. Particularly something of $1,000, particularly since they lose $200, particularly since their best practice is measurements. So that is a real problem in my mind. And the second case, I was prepared for it to come on back because the other one had. And it was resolved in my favor. And so I'm very happy about that, which I think goes to show that if it has passed inspection, that they're going to stand behind it. Because how can they have something that passes inspection and then gets returned to you? That would really prove that they hadn't done their job. Now, I don't know what they did. Like, Poshmark is interesting. They could have just as easily given the woman her money back and let my sale go on through, and I would be none the wiser. I have no idea how it resolved with that person, or if they complained, or if they truly said, you have to keep it. Like, there's really no way I can know what they did for that customer. But I do know that my funds were released, and that was excellent. So yeah, I have another case, like never two without three. So I have a third thing that just got opened up, where the woman said the size was incorrect on the shoe. Now, this is very, very interesting. Poshmark has an automatic converter, so that if it's a United States size 10, it's also considered a European 40. Okay, so they have their own conversion, right? They're not converting like UK sizes. They're converting US to European sizing for shoes. So the bottom on my shoe says 40. So when I listed it, I put a 10. Because that's the drop-down menu doesn't allow you to do anything else. I could have put in a custom size and put 40, but I didn't. I put exactly what they, because obviously U.S. sizing is to U.S. audience is going to be more helpful, I guess. So anyway, they don't give you the option to put in European sizing at all. They don't give you an option to say it's a size 40. The only way you could do that is a custom size or custom label something of yours. But the regular drop down menu, and I think this is a mistake, that something they need to add into their platform does not let you pick European sizing, which is a problem because, you've got French sizing as well, UK sizing, European sizing, and so many of these designer brands are Italian or French sizing. So I think it's kind of something they need to evolve into, is to add that in for people. Anyway, so this pair of shoes, I did look in to see what their complaint was, and they literally had, this is hilarious, they had my shoe, which actually it was brand new and never worn, next to their shoe by another brand. It was hilarious. And they said, look, it's not the same size. And look at this. This is my shoe, and it says size 10 inside, next to this shoe that says 40 on the bottom. See, it's not the same size. And I was just, plus on top of that, their shoe was completely worn out and worn in, as in stretched out. And anyone who wears shoes knows that when you start wearing them for a while, they lose their shape. So they had this shoe that had lost its shape, size 10 US by some brand you've never heard of, next to the shoe they had bought from me, saying, see how it's not the same size? See this, bird's eye view of this thing? Oh my gosh. So I just wrote a comment and I just said, look, I said, the system automatically converts the 40 to a 10. I said, some brands, some run small, some run large. But I just put what Poshmark told me to put. So obviously they're not happy about that. And Poshmark's policy on returns is you cannot return something because of the size. And I actually didn't know that at the beginning. And it took a while, and the only reason I figured it out was because I bought something I wanted to return. And then when I read the rules, I'm like, oh, I didn't know I couldn't return this thing. So this person, in theory, they should deny their claim due to size. And particularly since the 40 converts to a 10, and it's clearly a 40 on the shoe. So if they don't rule in my favor, I'll be really surprised by that. But they should rule in my favor, and this person should be forced to keep the shoe, which i.e. means relist it and resell it on the platform. I mean, that's really, it's a great solution for people who buy something that doesn't fit, that can't be returned, is you just simply turn around and sell it to someone else. Yes, it's not the same as having cash in your hand, but that's the rules that they have. So those are 3 of my experiences with Poshmark Authentication. So what do I think about Poshmark Authentication? Well, I think it's important to have it. I think it probably stops a lot of people from trying to sell fake product for more than $500. I think, which is interesting because a lot of the fakes that you see on these platforms, including Poshmark, are always priced under $500, like $300, $395, $350. So, just by pricing it lower, you can avoid that. I think it might be better to have authentication just for certain brands as well, like all Chanel, all Louis Vuitton, all Gucci, that kind of thing must go through authentication of any price point. Which might make a lot more sense. I don't know. But I'm glad that they have it. It probably helps prevent fraud or things like that. But the problem that I have with it is that you're relying on the authentication team to do their job. And you don't know who these people are. You don't know what their qualifications are. You don't know how well they're doing their job. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that I had a very large problem with Vestiaire Collective because of their authentication team. And twice their team made errors, and each time that company would absolutely do nothing about it. And I have waited to do a podcast on that experience because at one point I had a whole 3-page letter drafted to the CEO or COO or whoever I could find for that company, airing my grievance. But I just, in the end, I couldn't even send it in. I don't know. I think getting it out of my system was the main thing. But I will go into that for a minute because it's really important about these middlemen and what it means. So Vestiaire Collective, I had purchased a pair of Moschino wool pants, beautiful absolutely gorgeous. And when they came, they do have to go through this authentication or this middleman. I don't know why. I mean, for them, it's, they don't really call it authentication, but it's because it's an international sale, and before they ship it from a foreign country into me in the United States, someone's going to examine it. Well, their team failed to recognize that the hem was out in the pants. So when I got them, one pant leg was falling out, and so I emailed them and I said, well, this hem is coming out. You guys missed it. And they said, well, I said, I'm going to have to get it fixed. They said, well, if you send us the dry cleaning receipt, we'll refund you the difference. So I thought, okay. So my dry cleaner gave me my $12 quote to fix it. I got it in writing, sent them a copy. They gave me $12 credit end of the day. So I thought, okay, that's reasonable. These people are good people. They want to make right that it was wrong. They gave me $12. But the bigger point is they missed it. They missed the fact that the hem was coming out. So whoever looked at that did not do their job. So I thought, okay, no problem. Well, I bought something else, Moschino, from their site, and this was something that had it was very expensive. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Not 1,000, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And for this thing, I had to have been $600 or $700 for this jacket, something like that. So it was hundreds, but it was wool with gold lettering down the front, the Moschino letters. They kind of dangle. And absolutely beautiful. Like it was around the collar or down the front or something like that. And when I got it, I was so excited because it takes forever to get this stuff. I got it. I looked at it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I ripped off their little tag that says do not remove in case there's a problem. Ripped it off. Thought it was perfect. I'm getting it all ready because I'm having this big Moschino event at the Walker Viden Luxury Consignment. I had this event in 2018, getting it all together, and then I'm out there and I'm putting it on a hanger and all this stuff, and I'm pinning my JennieGirl's Closet pin on it and all this stuff, and suddenly I look at the collar and all of the gold lettering had faded, and it had turned, and anybody who knows this gold tone is knows that it's easy for it to turn over time. So you don't know where this thing's been stored or what condition it's been in. So it was all turning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the chain is all turning. It's like the gold's off. I mean, it's actually like silver in certain places and like corroded. So I almost had a heart attack because it was so expensive. So I took the time to take photos and email them, and their people were like, oh, too bad, so sad. Nothing we can do about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? This coat was like, how many hundreds of dollars? Well, there's nothing we can do about it. Did you take the tag off? I said, yeah, I took off the original tag. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. You took the tag off. You can't return it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because I took the tag off. You can see from the time date stamp that DHL delivered it at this moment. And 15 minutes later, after I took the tag off, I'm emailing you. So you can see right here, there's 15 minutes has passed between when I got it and when I took the tag off and told you there's a problem. So their whole thing was they would not admit there was a problem. They would never come out and say, our team that looks at these things missed something. Their whole thing was, you took the tag off, so sad, too bad. Sorry, nothing we can do about it. And I would email them again, and I'm like, well, okay, I don't understand this. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Your team did not do their job. Your team did not see the damage on this coat. Therefore, you should be able to take it back. And their attitude was, sorry, we're not taking it back. End of story. We're not talking to you about this anymore. Don't email us anymore. Don't call us. Don't contact us anymore. And if anybody's ever been on the other end of an email exchange with a customer service where they literally just quit talking to you because they've had it, like they're just like they've made their decision and there's nothing that you can do about it, I mean, like, I'm like, can I talk to a manager? Can I talk to a higher up? Nope, that person is qualified to do their job. You know, Bob Smith is qualified to make this determination. There's nothing more we can do about it. And I have to tell you, at that moment, I canceled my monthly subscription so that you can see the good items first with Vestiaire Collective. I was so sick in my stomach that this company would not stand behind their own authentication / program that looks at and examines everything. And I'd had it, which is why I do not shop with them at all. And in a previous podcast, I had thought they were amazing, and they were amazing until this happened. And as someone in another country where every single item has to go through someone, and you can't trust their process, you can't trust the middleman. So it's the same issue as ThreadUp. You can't trust the middleman. So whoever's inspecting or giving instruction to these staffers who that's their job, they're not doing a very good job with what I have bought or been involved with. Probably due to the fact that the volume of this stuff is just unbearable, right? The volume of things having to go through authentication or having to go through being looked at is so huge. And I think Vestiaire Collective looks at everything. I think that's their whole thing. So imagine every single piece of merchandise is examined. So therefore, things are going to fall through the cracks. And unfortunately, twice it happened to me with Vestiaire Collective. And the first time they made it right, and the second time, so sad, too bad. And to me, that stupid piece of paper that anyone can go out and buy the supplies and re-hook the tag. I mean, this is what's ridiculous about it. Like, there's not one piece of security tag, garment, plastic thing that I can't go buy on the internet right now and reattach to anything that I buy. So people who do that is to keep an honest man honest. It's really not to prevent fraud, because you can just buy the stuff and re-secure it. But the fact that they wouldn't stand behind their own program, the fact that regardless of the fact that I had photos that showed the clear damage and there wasn't anything that they would do about it, that's not right. And that does not get my business. And that does not get my recommendation. And so, yeah. So 2 different experiences for me. And that's what I like about sharing all this, is that I do so much of this buying and selling and trying to find unique things. And you know, I can't, I'm spending $600-700 on a coat that I intend to sell for over $1,000. So, I don't mind spending that, knowing I can get it back when I sell it. But I have a real problem buying things in a manner where I'm not protected. And now one more thing that I learned, and this is the most important thing I want you to get out of this. I learned, and there's this wonderful program called Affirm, where you can buy things and have payments over 3 months, sometimes either 6 months or a year, that are interest-free. And I use that a lot when I source. I used it for Vestiaire Collective. I used it for, no, I didn't use it for Vestiaire. Did I? Okay, I did use it. All right, I did use it. And I've used it for the Real Real. And now ThreadUp is offering that. So, it is something that I use, and it's perfectly wonderful. It's like layaway in a sense, but it's really not. It's here's what I learned. Now listen closely. For Vestiaire Collective, when I could not get the answer I wanted, I called up Affirm. And I said, what are my options? Because these people will not give me my money back. They won't even acknowledge they won't even talk to me anymore. I'm getting the runaround. I spent $700 on something that is damaged. And here's what they said. The firm says, guess what? It's a loan. It's a personal loan. Affirm is a personal loan. You have no recourse. If you'd used a credit card, it'd have been different. And I'm like, excuse me? What? They're like, yeah, I mean, affirm. He says, whatever those rules are that the merchant has set out is exactly what we must go by. So they went in and they read me all the rules and all the notices under Vestiaire Collective, and they told me what it said. And they said they are not required to do anything beyond what's stated. And because this is a personal loan to you, it's not a credit card purchase, you have no way of disputing it. Oh, wow. That right there was an eye-opener. Now, it has not stopped me from using Affirm. I love Affirm. It has not stopped me from buying from companies that use it. It has absolutely stopped me from buying from Vestiaire Collective ever again. Short of someone calling me and saying, here's your money back, I will never use their platform at this point, and I'm not going to take the time to write them, although my draft letter is still sitting in my computer because so much time has passed, so it's been like 6 months now, that I'm just sort of I think talking about is the best thing I can do, but that was my experience, and that is no way to run a business. It's no way to run a global business because it's all about trust, and my trust was broken in the fact that twice they've made errors, and the second time, the most expensive time, they didn't make it right. And the fact that someone could basically quit talking to you and basically say, we're no longer going to respond to you about this matter, that it's done, that there's no way, there's no upper level, there's no way to elevate it, that's a real problem. So yeah, those are my experiences with the authentication programs of Poshmark and Vestiaire Collective. Welcome to my world. Yeah. So I mean, it's upsetting, and what's interesting is as a business person for myself, I mean, I have to deal with these issues when people aren't 100% satisfied, and we made a policy. We make it right. Because you have to think long term. You have to think of that customer over time. You have to think of all the people they're going to tell when they have a bad experience and all the people they're going to tell when they have a good one. And statistically, you tell more people when it's a bad one, just like I'm telling whoever's listening to this podcast about my experiences that were not good. But that's not to say I won't be happy to talk about my experiences that have been good, because I am here to talk about all of my experiences, good and bad, as a reseller and stylist and someone who owns a consignment shop. Believe me, there's a variety of them, and there's no shortage of stories, and there's no shortage of experiences. So that's it. So yeah, this is Jennie Walker with JennieGirl's Closet and Closet Conversations. I appreciate you listening. If you like what you've heard, please give me a 5 stars and a thumbs up and a comment and anything else you'd like to share with me. I plan to do a lot more of these in 2019, as well as to launch my YouTube channel and content there. I'm busy behind the scenes making all of that happen, and look forward to launching that and having you with me for that journey. Until next time, I'm Jennie Walker.